Welcome to the first episode of my podcast called Need to Understand with my host, with me, Kempton Alexander. In this first episode right here, I'm talking about myself, talking about loss, grief, love, heartbreak, and mental health. And so be sure to check out all new episodes of Need to Understand episodes, which I'm bringing more guests in and all that, and talk about their stories and what they went through and what they're doing now and so forth and so forth. Like basically like real life stuff and all that stuff. So and what their history and what they doing now and so forth and so forth. So be sure to check out all new episodes of Need to Understand podcast episodes coming up really soon. So, but for now, this is the first episode right here to start off the podcast journey. And this first episode started with me and all that stuff. So, like I said, we'll talk about myself, talk about loss, grief, love, heartbreak, and advice for parents and anybody who's struggling with mental health and stuff. So anyway, without further ado and all that, more Need to Understand episodes to come, and I can't wait to have this Need to Understand podcast really started. So Need to Understand, everyone, let's rock. And so for the first episode, I gotta start off with me starting off with the podcast and all this stuff. So I'm going to talk about, have some questions right here on my phone. And the question is to ask about, tell me about yourself. With me and all that, I'm born and raised in New York. You can see in my shirt right here, I was born and raised in Jamaica, Queens, New York, originally from and all that. Then I was raised in Brooklyn. That's where my family was at. So I was living in New York for about 4 years or so, until from 1994 all the way through 1997. And being born and raised in New York and all that other stuff, especially in the hood area and all that, was really great and hard at times. And because my dad was born and raised in Jamaica and all that, my dad was was the dad at first, then raising and making a band called Three the Hard Way, which is like a Jamaican band and all that, near the streets of Bulwark Avenue and all that stuff. And so with NYC and all that, there's a lot of like Jamaicans, Trinidadians, Guyanese, Latinas, so forth and so forth. Like New York, like a cultural thing and all that. Even though Florida taking over now and all that other stuff, but New York gonna be my number one thing and all that stuff. So I was born and raised in Queens, New York, but raised in Brooklyn too and all that. My parents got their education from the States and all that, from the Caribbean islands, from moving to the States to get their education and all that stuff. And I lived there for almost 3 years, and after that, experience in New York as a kid and all that stuff was phenomenal. I got to visit Times Square and all that, visit Bronx, Manhattan, so forth as a kid and all that other stuff. So which was like a great experience as a kid, especially in the 90s and all that, when they still have the Twin Towers, all that. It was golden peak of NYC and all the other stuff. So I lived there and all that for almost 3 years, until 1997, until we moved to the Caribbean islands, aka Trinidad. That where my mom born and raised at, and starting life there and all that. It kind of just there without the city life and all that, and the way how she raised and all the other stuff. And then after that, after those 2 years and all that, I moved to Arizona after that and all the other stuff, to live with my grandma and my uncle at the time and my aunt at the time and all that other stuff. And so yeah, so I was born and raised in New York and all that stuff. And then transferred to Trinidad, and then Arizona after that. So yeah, so those three, I went from state to Caribbean island, and then to back to the U.S. and all that other stuff to get the lives better and all that other stuff. Originally, we were about to move to Nevada and all that other stuff because my grandma and my uncle slash husband at the time lived there for like 1 year or so and all that, but they decided to move out here and all that other stuff due to my uncle's family and all that living there and all that. So we had to take pursuit of that. So like even though Long Beach even though California is my second home now and all that stuff, nothing cannot top NYC and all this stuff. I'm always gonna be a New Yorker for the rest of my life forever. So yeah, that's that. And what makes you look skinny, and how that transpire you as a kid? Growing up as a kid and growing up being skinny as a kid and all that, how that started was like, I guess you can say I was a vegan and all that stuff. Like it's been like a trend, not a popular nowadays. It wasn't used back then before what it is now and all that. Like for me, like us, our family, we didn't eat and work out much. We didn't eat and work out much and all that other stuff. I wasn't really a big fan of meat and all that stuff. Every time my family cook up curry chicken and Jamaican food and all the other stuff, and go to the gym, lift weights and all that other stuff. And I wasn't a fan and all that other stuff because I wanted to be so big, be so fat and all the other stuff, and I was getting teased because of that. I was really getting teased from middle school and all that, and somewhat high school and all that, not much and all the other stuff. And so yes, so I wasn't a big fan of lifting weights or eating meat and all that other stuff. And I don't want to be like those person was on TV and all the other stuff. And so I thought my totally bigger regret now and all the other stuff in terms of being skinny and all the other stuff, like, but looking back at it now and all the other stuff, like I should have just eat more and all the other stuff, saying like quitting meat and all the other stuff like I was back then and all that stuff. But yeah, so but looking at the skinny journey now and all that stuff, I started eating more, started eating healthy more. Just take walks here and there and all that stuff. Drink a lot of water. Just kind of like eat more and kind of like sort of the gym. Just kind of like go to the gym more and lift some weights and all the other stuff. And so I've been trying here and there and all the other stuff. And so yeah, so being skinny and all the other stuff is like, it was the hardest thing in my life, but don't regret it in my life because it was my life choice and all that stuff. But looking back at it now as a kid and all that stuff, I could just eat and be more better and all that stuff and lift weights as a kid. But looking back at it now and looking back now, I should have lifted weights and all that other stuff. But being skinny and all that other stuff and having the dad bod and all that makes you love you and make you tease you and all that other stuff. It was a really hard experience in my life. Then you went through loss in your life with the passing of your uncle, passing on your brother, and the loss of yourself with seizures / epilepsy. How do you really overcome all of that? Well, I never ever experienced loss in my entire life, and the story about it is kind of really hard for me to talk about it, and that loss of my life and all that other stuff, and and like I never seen death before in my life, and like I never experienced the death of a loved one that close to me. I never did. Uh, I, I, I know the death of my father, death of my grandfather at the time, and all that other stuff, but I never really close to him and all that other stuff. But but my but my uncle Eddie and all that other stuff, when that happened and all that stuff, it was during my second year of no, not my second year, during my senior year of Glendale High School, during the summer break and all that, and we were at his house for the weekend, and and we were like, sometimes we'll go over to his house to spend the night and all that. Sometimes he'll take us home if you gotta get busy and all the other stuff. But like one specific particular day, we were spending the night at his house, and when me and my little brother were in the living room, and my little sister and my uncle were sleeping in his bedroom. So when we're sleeping and all that stuff, and it was my little sister running up to the living room, waking up me and my little brother up, and she said, "Eddie not waking up." And my mom's like, "What? Eddie's just asleep. Just go wake him up." So in my mind, we were continuing to sleep. Me and Maggie would continue sleeping, and then Tasha run in for the second time and all that, and she was like, "This is serious. Eddie not waking up." So in my mind, like, something really wrong here. So me and my little brother Dash, Manny, me, my little brother, my little sister, dash into the room, dash into his bedroom, try to wake him up. And he was having a little bit of heartbeat and all that other stuff. And after I started waking up and all that other stuff, I couldn't feel his heartbeat. In my mind, like, there's something really wrong here and all that stuff. And so, in my mind, like, in my mind's like, something wrong right here. So I'll call 911 and tell them about what happened and all that stuff, not waking up and all that other stuff. Tell them, like, hurry up and all that stuff. So they did the best they could. We went good and all that. Went up to the house. When 911 came, check his health and all that stuff. Make sure everything good, everything well and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden and all that stuff, they say that he passed away. And my mind was like, this is crazy, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say. Like, he was healthy a day ago. And now, all of a sudden, this happened. I was mad, sad, and angry all at once. And my brother and my little brother and my little sister was crying and all that stuff. Like, I couldn't believe this is happening right now. And this is the person that, a loved one that I was really close with, that I've been through all of his entire life, when him and grandma were together, and or whether he by himself. He was like my own pops, then my uncle. You know what I mean? Because we've been closer than ever since we moved out to Arizona and all that other stuff. So when they tell us about the news and all that other stuff, I started calling my aunt and all that other stuff. Like, it was the hardest thing. Like, I couldn't know what to say and all that stuff. I'll call my aunt first and all that. I was about to call my grandma first and all that, but her work at the time won't let her answer the phone and all that. But then I called my aunt, who was pregnant with my cousin at the time and all that. Tell her the news in a shocking, sad way and all that stuff. And then after that, she hung up the phone and all that. And it's like, and then all of a sudden and all that, around like 10 to 15 minutes later, my grandma started calling me about it, and we talked for almost like 10 to 15 minutes, and I didn't know what to say. And after that, it's like I don't want to feel like talking to anybody, and like I cannot believe this is happening right now. And I didn't know what to do. I don't know what to say, and it was really, 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 really terrible. And so I'm blaming myself, like why, and all that other stuff. Like, this is the first family members I lost to that were very, very close to me, and I didn't know anything about death at the time. So, but at that time, it was the first family member that I lost to that was very, very close to me, because I was there from him from the very beginning all the way to the end of his life. And to see a soul taken away from that, it was hard. It was heartbreaking, and it was filled with the emotions, and I don't know what to think. I don't know what to do and all that. Saw myself crying and all that other stuff, but I decided to lean on with my brother and my sister. I started leaning on them, told them that everything's gonna be okay, and trying to be the leader of that day and all the other stuff. It wasn't easy to do and all the other stuff. And I hold my uncle's cool hand and all that stuff. Told that we all love him and all the other stuff. And then all of a sudden and all that stuff, when that happened and all the other stuff, that's when my aunt and my grandma started coming in and all the other stuff. And like, it was so much drama going on that I had to walk out of the bedroom and all that. I don't want to see my uncle change his cold body into blue and all that stuff. And there was a lot of drama, a lot of madness after he passed away. When my grandma told his brother the news and all that, because him and my uncle was really, really close, and close like brothers and all that other stuff. When grandma told him the news and all that stuff, and he was already hysterical and yada 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 and all that. It was like a circus when he passed away. And I told Camille, like, you know what, just take it home and let me grieve and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, Mom called me about the news, called me about the situation and all that. Like, I didn't want to, in my mind that day and all that, I don't want to really talk to anybody, to be honest with you. Like, I cannot believe that person that who was full of life and full of love and helping out with everybody, not just for us, but for his brothers, for his sister, and my grandma when she needed something and all that, helping others and all that, is basically gone now. But as the days and the time went on and all that, when grandma brought his stuff and all that stuff, and my mind is like, it brings me some emotions and all that other stuff. It brings me, like, I was like, I'm not supposed to have his belongings and all that stuff. He's supposed to be having his belongings and all that stuff. But as the days and the months go by and all that, I heard something in the dream, and Eddie, in my mind, in the head, Eddie told me, like, I did my job now. Go help. Go help and take care of your grandma. Go take care of your brothers. Go take care of your sisters. Go take care of your mom. And in my mind that day, I was like, I was grieving, locking my room and all that. I don't want to be out of my room and all the other stuff. All the room and all the other stuff. And in my mind, like when I said that, when Eddie told me that in the dream and all that, I told him, like, you know what, man? I'll do it for you. Since you did so much for us and all that, you know what, man? I'll do it. I'll do it for you. So, and during my senior year of Glendale High, and I was all alone, lonely, barely hang out with any friends and all that. So grieving my death of my uncle and all that. But me and grandma navigate through things, talk about things, and we were starting getting closer and closer after Eddie's passing. And so you know, he still missed to this day and all that stuff. And I told myself, why, how this happened, all that, blame myself and all that other stuff, everything. If I would go back in time and change things, what had happened. But I learned that, realized that, you know, it's not the person's fault. Like, it doesn't check out, go to the doctor and take care of their health and all that other stuff. Because usually my uncle never go to the doctor and all that, because like he always Superman of things and all that other stuff. He never go to the doctor and they never get checked out and all that. How his health doing and all that other stuff. So it is no one else's fault but the person who never want to go to the doctor and all that stuff. And so yeah, so me and her started getting bond together, how that happened and all the other stuff. And so yeah, my uncle's Eddie passing was a really shock. And then when my little brother Camroy and all the other stuff, like it was like 4 years after my uncle's passing and all that. And my little, and when I heard the news on Facebook that my brother died in the car crash, I was totally shocked. I was sad, but totally shocked. And because like my other brothers and sisters was living with them and living in Trinidad at the time when it happened and all that stuff, because on that past month or so he called me and all that, and calling me, check on me, see how we doing and all that. We're good, we vibing, and to see how we doing and all the other stuff. Just talk like brotherly love and brotherly stuff and all that. Like check up on each other and make sure we are good. We talk on the phone for 2 hours and all the other stuff, because when I went to Trinidad in summer of 2009, we wasn't getting along as brothers and all that other stuff. So I kind of blame myself for that. But on that phone call on that past month and all that stuff, we started reconnecting and all that stuff, talk like brotherly love. We almost talked for the phone for like 2 hours and so, and we were like this kite and all that. So I told him, like, you have my phone number, you can call me anytime and all that. And then that month comes later after that, that's when the news of my little brother started happening and all of that other stuff. So it was sad because my other brother and sister was really close to him than I was, because I was really close with Grandma and Eddie, and them my other brothers and sisters closer to my little brother more, because they live in Trinidad more than I live in the States and all the other stuff. And so yeah, it was a heartbreaking time and all the other stuff. Like it was the first loss and all that, now delivering the second loss and all that stuff. So yeah, so Camroy was he was the life of the. My little brother was the life of the party. He was the king of Trinidad and all that stuff. Every time carnival started and all that, he was the hype man and all the other stuff. And so, and that's my memory of my little brother and all that stuff. So he'll never be forgotten. His legacy and the love as my brother in Trinidad lives on and all that stuff. I still have his pictures up on my wall and all the other stuff. And he gonna be terribly, 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 terribly missed. And then after that, skipping May, then June came around and all that stuff. Around like the middle of June of that year, which is 2016, and I was staying up late, partying, dancing on the computer at 1 o'clock and all that stuff. I heard the bed was moving. The bed and the foundation were moving. It was rolling out and all that, and hit my head, and my body was started shaking. And then my aunt, like I thought it was like brain dead or something like that. So my aunt called 911 and all that, and take me to the nearest hospital closer to my house. And I was kind of say like putting on a little bit on life support and all that. And when they checked my brain and all that, my brain was on fire and all that. I was struggling, battling for my life and all the other stuff. And the doctor said, you have seizures. And my mind was like, what? I never had seizures in my life before and all that. So what they did was they put little stickers, little bandage signatures on the head, and put little wires on it to see what the brain functions and all the other stuff. And so they did that for me while I was fighting and all the other stuff, because people usually die from seizures like in the instant and all that stuff. So I keep fighting and all the other stuff. Talking to grandma and all the other stuff. Try to call everybody and all the other stuff, all my family members and all the other stuff, because because I know what my last day is gonna be and all that and all the other stuff. And then all of a sudden, my little sister my big sister called me, and while I was fighting for my life and all that, because I couldn't pick up the phone, my brain from my seizures was like frying up and not going so well and all that stuff. And my little sister called me, and she said like, "Oh, I heard what happened to you now and all that, and I hope you're okay and all that stuff." Like, and the one thing that she said to me that will really stuck with me, the reason why I'm here alive today, is because when she said like, I don't want to lose another brother. Like 2 months ago, we lost Camroy, we lost Eddie, and now I don't want to lose you. And that right there has the pain to keep fighting for not only for myself, fighting for my family, fighting for all of my loved ones and all that stuff. Like, and when she said that, I don't want to lose another brother. We lost Camroy, we lost Eddie. I don't want to lose another brother and all that stuff, because my mind's like, my life about to end and all that stuff. Like, I just want to be at peace and all that stuff. I just want to go out on the day after that happened and all that other stuff. And I tell them the final message is like, y'all need to be good. Stop doing bad things. Take care of your mom. Take care of your grandma. Take care of everybody. Y'all need to love each other. Y'all need to do good things and all that. But when she said that and all that other stuff, that's why I keep fighting until I got out of hospital, until like 3 to 4, like 5 to 6 days ago and all that other stuff. And so so yeah, because of her, because of my sister and all that other stuff, going through this seizure and all that, which I still do to this day and all the other stuff, and taking meds for him and all the other stuff. Without her and all that stuff, I wouldn't be alive today and all the other stuff. So I've been really going some phases and phases or loss in life, back to back to back. So see it happen to my uncle, see it happen to my brother, it happened to myself and all that. I learned that I need to take life very seriously and live at this very, very moment before it's too late and all that other stuff. So yeah, thank God I'm still here today, and I thank God I learned the grace of that. And you went to the program called Next Step for 2 years, and how that went down. The program called Next Step came from my special ed teacher, was with special ed teacher from Glendale High, who was with at the time and all that for the past 4 years. They were from my special ed teacher at Glendale High. And because my job, my dream job and all that, just after high school, I want to go to college. Just like every parent should. Every kid, every should and all that. After I graduate high school, I want to go to college. Because my dream and goal is to be a video game designer. Like drawing and making video games out of the computer and so forth and so forth. That was my biggest dream and all that stuff. But my special ed teacher told me is about this Next Step program and all that. In my mind, like, what this Next Step program is about? Is the Next Step program? It's about, like, they teach you how you pay bills, how to do grocery shopping, like baby stuff and all that. Like for me, like, it wasn't the goal. I would never plan on intending to go to that program. When she told me that and all that other stuff, I told him, like, in my instance, like, you know what, man, I'll just go to the program and get it over with. So, and that's when I started and went to the Next Step program for 2 years and all that stuff. That's how I met my friends there and all that from my high star days, from other high schools and all that other stuff. And that's how I met my met my homies / brothers, which I still talk to this day. I met my brothers Andre there, I met Trey there, and having all these old t-shirts around us at the time and all that, meeting new people and all of the other stuff. So like meeting them and all that, became brothers for the first time and all that was really, really great. First year and all that was really, really great and all that other stuff. No drama free, nothing like that and all that other stuff. But in the second year and all that stuff, it was messy and drama and all the other stuff. So I didn't really want to go to Next Step and all that stuff, to teach you baby things and all that stuff, how to pay bills, how to grocery shopping and all that stuff, because I learned that experience from my grandma. She taught me these things while I was in Glendale, while I was in high school and all that stuff. How to go to grocery shopping, how you pay your bills and all this stuff. Well, because she taught me the things when I get to like adult and all this stuff. I know how to do things like paying rent, food, all the other stuff. And so yeah, I didn't really tend to go to that program and all that stuff, because they teach you like baby stuff and all the other stuff. So, but because of the bros that I met and all the other stuff, and the friendships that I made there and the teachers that I made there and all that stuff, and I told myself, you know what, I'll just go to the program and all that stuff to see what it's about and all that stuff, get it over with, and then get my diploma and leave. But the Next Step people and all that other stuff, all that stuff. Like, I want to get my diploma and leave and all that stuff. And they say that, you know what, we're gonna keep you in the second year, because us veterans and all that. Like, for the first people that graduate next step, they got their degree like in the instant and all the other stuff. Like, us veterans for us veterans like me, Andre, Trey, Alex, Jessica, etc., we have to hold back for the second year. So that's when the second year comes, and all the other stuff mixed with the us veterans and all that stuff, mixed with old people, us with some new people and all that stuff. So that's how that expired, and I regret it to say I'm not signing up for the next, not going regret of just graduate high school or not taking this next step program after that. That was my biggest regret of all. So yeah, that's the experience, all that of next step. Then your life changed during your second year of next step. Full circle. When you met your ex-girlfriend Sara Lehor during the second year of next step. How the love story started and how the downfall started after that, and then moving forward. Well, the funny how me and Sarah met, it was the first week during the second year of next step. And how we met and all that, it was from my bro Andre. And my bro Andre told me, like, you should get with Sarah and all the other stuff. Like you should get with Sarah and all that. She from Greenway High School and all that other stuff. And like he keep begging me. I'm told, like, who is this Sarah chick? I don't know who she is and all that stuff. I'm not ready for dating and all that other stuff. I'm not my focus right now. I'm focused on hanging out with you guys and all that other stuff. And we met and he introduced me to her and all that stuff during my second year of next step. Back then I had my dreadlocks and all the other stuff. During my second year of next step, my dreadlocks started growing and all that stuff. We met during that second year, during the beginning of the second year of next step, and we I was sitting on the back table and all that, which me, Andre, Trey, and Jessica sit at, and she was on the second table. So I told myself, like, you know what? Fine, Andre, I'm gonna go talk to her. And then we started talking about like 10 to 15 minutes and all that, and telling what to introduce each other, what's your name, yada yada yada, and then go back to my table. And then because she was about to date my childhood friend at the time and all of that other stuff. But then after that and all that she started coming to me. Then she started coming to me and all this stuff, sitting next to me on the table and yada yada yada. And like, she was the most kindest, patient, strongest person that I ever met. I never felt butterflies in my stomach before and all that. And when she said, like, do you want to go out with me? I don't know what to think, I don't know what to say and all that. I was like, you know what? Yeah. And that's how our love story started and all that, during the early years of dating. And so we connected every time I walk from the bus stop and all that. And every time I see her waiting on the bus and all, see her on the bus and all that, waiting to get out and all that, we walk together, we sit together and all the other stuff during those second years during the next the days of next step and all that, throughout the day through next step, and throughout the weekends, and all throughout the weekends and all that stuff. Like she likes the things that she like the things that I like, like from 90s stuff to Disney, to, you can see, 90s stuff, to Disney, to Nickelodeon, to Jersey Shore, and Jersey Shore, 90s stuff, Nickelodeon, Disney, so forth and so forth, and so forth and so forth. But the difference with her and all the stuff, she like Jersey Shore, she like all those names and all that, the names that I like and all that. But the difference with her and all that, she like Jersey Shore and of course SpongeBob. And so we just clicked like that. And then like 2-3 days later, we started clicking and started dating during the early years of Next Step. And then during the weekends, when we not in Next Step and all that, we started calling late nights and all that stuff, saying some like, I have this one memory and all that other stuff, like this is when before like social media thing and all that. She would call me and all that after she was finish her dinner and all that. She call me and all that other stuff, and we say some dirty things and all that. I guess I was saying out loud and all that, and my grandma's like, watch your mouth. And then we talking for hours on the phone and all the other stuff, because because her limit time and all that, we should go to bed around like 7:30 or so, and then we started calling and check up on each other and say how I love you, saying lovey-dovey stuff and all the other stuff. And then on the weekends and all that, during the second year of Next Up, when on weekend when not in Next Step and all the other stuff, I usually go to her house. So this is my first time when I met with the family. I met her sisters right there. Met her sisters and all that stuff. Met the mom, met the dad, and they were like small at the time and all that stuff. And so I had my dreadlocks at the time, like, and my mom was like, dang, like I mean with the whole family. Here's a Jamaican. I'm a Jamaican. Me with the family and the three sisters and all that other stuff. And then when she introduced me to her family and all that stuff, I met the big one named Heather and all that. I shake her hand and all that stuff, and it was a weird. It was kind of like the weird way that she introduced me and all that other stuff. And she was like, she was like, you better take care of you. You better treat Sarah right. And I was like, really? Excuse me? In my mind was like, what? This is how you say. This is how you introduce somebody when you date somebody and all that. And in my mind, it's like, in my mind and all that, in my mind when she said that and all that stuff, you see, she introduced me to a weird way, but in a good way and all that stuff. Like, when there's an understanding that you don't want that person hurt and all that other stuff. And so it was like a weird way and all that, but in a good way and all that other stuff. And so I always hang out at her house during the weekends and all that other stuff, out of the Next Step and all the other stuff. And then after all that, I went to her house on her birthday and all the other stuff. Got her the let me backtrack a bit. I used to go to the food cart and all that other stuff. Buy her like buy we buy each other buy and share hot Cheetos with each other and like food cart and all that other stuff. But basically, it's like it's like offending thing and all that. How to like teach you how to get like change back and yeah stuff, just baby stuff and all that stuff. Because I used to did that when I was in did that and all that during that birdcage during Glendale High School and all that stuff. So yeah, so we share hot Cheetos together. We share lovey-dovey stuff together. She write me love letters and all that stuff, which I still have this dude, still have it to this day and all the other stuff. And so yeah, so on that October, because she was turning 19 and all that, and I was I was 20, and she was 18 when we first meet. So yeah, so which when she, on her 19th birthday and all that stuff, I got her a little Bath and Body Work present and all that stuff. I met the entire family, with me by myself, with no grandma, no little sister and all that, and their family, even the grandma and grandpa, were very nice, very supportive, very kind, very courageous, and all that. They're so sweet to me and all that stuff. And when they were telling me stories, telling me stories about the history of them and so forth and so forth. And like we were doing good and all that stuff during the early years of early years of next step, because because there were other people, because my two bros were in the relationship. My two bros were in the relationship with Next Up at the time, Andre and Anastasia, Trey and Jessica, Isaac and Maritza, and so forth and so forth. And so we were all there. We were all couples and all that other stuff, sneaking out and all that, making out during the hiding in the bathrooms and yada 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 and all that stuff, until the teachers caught us and all that. Like, you have to go to your room and all of that stuff, which is like really really nonsense and all that stuff. But and then like a week after her birthday and all that other stuff, it's still really hard to talk about. But the day after the week after her birthday and all that, she wanted to talk to me or something, and she said like, I want to talk to you or something. And she said like, is it okay just me and you just be friends and all that? And my mind was like, I don't know what to think, I don't know what to say. I was like, wait a minute, like, what do you, like, what? And I was really shocked and all that stuff, because everybody love our relationship. And I was really shocked, sad, mad, and angry when she said like, we just want to be friends after a 2-month relationship and all that. Like, my goal is to like be like them and all that other stuff, like have the relationship forever and all that stuff. And so I was like, it was kind of heartbreaking and all that other stuff. And so you know how like people does it, like I was mad, sad, being angry at everybody, angry at her of course, and all the other stuff. Didn't want to talk to anybody and all that stuff. Then all of a sudden and all that, she went out with my childhood friend and all that, which like, it doesn't make no sense to me. Like, she went from having this great relationship all that stuff, having a great relationship, to dating my childhood friend, to my childhood best friend from High Star and all that stuff. Well, we've been classmates for years and all that stuff. Like basically like betrayal and all the other stuff. And so yeah, I usually get mad, sad, and angry at her for what she did and all the other stuff. And then the downfall of it and all the other stuff, and I blame it as my part of blame for this, is that I want to seek revenge. I want to seek revenge because of things that she did and all that. I want to do the being revenge at her and all the other stuff. It wasn't no personal thing and all that stuff. And I was down in the dumps, to be honest with you. Like being with the wrong people, being with the wrong being with the wrong people, being with the wrong new girlfriend at the time and all of that other stuff. Before she cheated on me because she was talking to another guy and all that. But the reason why I do that is because she did the things to me and all that other stuff. So, but it was really wrong for me. I pleaded guilty on my part and all the other stuff. And for what I did and all that stuff. Not only I hurt her and all that, I hurt myself. Like we both basically were hurt each other and all the other stuff. So like every time, like when I saw that assistant teacher take Sarah to the office and all the other stuff, I was really disappointed, to be honest with you. And I cannot I cannot believe like everybody from let me give you the detail of it. Everybody from Next Step, including teachers and all that, everybody was sticking up on my side because of what she did and all this stuff, because everybody loved our fairy tale relationship. Everybody loved our fairy tale relationship, and they were every time like they were signing on my side and all that because of what she did and all that. Not only from Next Step teachers and all that, but from the teachers to the staff to the kids too and all the other stuff. So everybody was on my part and all that for what everybody on my part taking my side. Every time I'm sad and mad and all that for what she did, they're all taking my part and all the other stuff. So I feel really guilty for that. I think she should have handled better and all the other stuff. But when that happened and all the other stuff, and when me and her trying to communicate, fix things up, patch things up and all that, the Next Step people try to break us up and all that. Every time she's in the classroom and all that, I go to the food cart part. They want to let us communicate and fix things and all that, and let us move forward and all that. And so we both made mistakes. I made the mistake and all that. I should have really done it better and all of that stuff. So after this happening and all that stuff, I ditched Next Step. Some days I would have come, but some days I wouldn't go, and all that stuff. And I didn't even really care if teachers seeing me and all the other stuff. And then every time I'm mad or upset and all the other stuff, and then Miss Green who was the next step teacher at the time, come and talk to me, and she told me what happened between you and Sarah. I told her what she did and all the other stuff. Like, she said, like, there are plenty of other girls for you, and yada yada yada, and all the other stuff. And I was mad, sad, angry at everybody and all that. So the next step people and all that wouldn't let us communicate. They wouldn't let us communicate and let us move forward with our own lives and be friends and yada yada yada. So I blame 150% on my part and all that stuff. Even though the things that she did, we both made mistakes and all that stuff. Things happens and all that stuff, and things should have handled better and all that stuff. So like after I graduated next up and all the graduate, we haven't talked to each other for the few years and all that, because of I was busy with my life, going to GCC, going to community college, working at Walmart at the time, which was really, really horrible and all that stuff. Try to be my own independence and all that other stuff. Living that single life and all that other stuff without being in a relationship and all that other stuff. And then in December of 2021, almost like before Christmas, around like December 2021, it was before Christmas, Sarah texted me. And it was shocking because we haven't talked or seen each other for the past like few years. And so Sarah called me and say, hey. I was like, hey, how you doing? Like, I was like, yada 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 and all that other stuff. And she told me, like, do you want to go like, she said, like, I miss you and all that other stuff, like yada yada yada, miss you, yada yada yada, and wondering to go to date and start dating again and all that. And she said, like for me, like, I didn't believe in second chances at the time and all that stuff. But I said, like, you know what, and all that, let me give the second chance a try. And so we got together before Christmas, and I went to her house and all that. She was living in Mesa at the time, and we got together again, filled with more excitement and all that stuff. Going back to the same old things that we used to do during Next Step and all that. And we were very, very serious. We were in the Next Step. And then we spent it together on New Year's Eve and all that stuff, spending time with the family and all that other stuff, spending time with her and all that other stuff. And then around like 2022, we take these things to a whole take things to a whole nother level. We going like every time I take days off from work and all that stuff, when I'm not working all that, I go to her house and hang out and all that. When she not with her autism program and all of her stuff, she let me know when she could like come over and all the other stuff. Like, we hang out, talk, take walks, take the dogs to potty and all the other stuff. And she made this for me during her autism program and all the other stuff. And she started writing me love letters again and all the other stuff. And then she went into personal deep dishes with me and all that stuff about mental health and all that. I don't want to say the names and all the other stuff. Like, she talking about talk about the downfall after next step and all that, struggling with mental health and so forth and so forth. And that one day when I went to her house, I was sitting down hanging out and all that. There's a bottle of medications in the table. There were like mental health medications on the table, and I mean, my mind's like, my mind's like, oh, I know what my mind's like, oh, I know what she's talking about. And then I started worrying and concerns and all that other stuff because like I don't know what her body language within her and all the other stuff. It's like dealing with when every time I went over to her house and all that, when we hang out together and all that, we were having less hang time and all that because of their busy lifestyle and all that, doing chores, dishes, etc., constantly pressuring her, like the mom and the sister, the little sister, pressuring her little sister. I mean, say like constantly pressuring her, and like they were pressuring her to do all these things and all that, could never give her a break and all the other stuff. And you know, like, in my mind, like she was crying, and all that other stuff. I call her, pick up the phone, and I told her like, what's wrong and all that, and she calling me and she calling me what the problem is and all that, about her mom and her little sister pulling her hair and all that other stuff. I told her like if they keep bothering you and all that other stuff, just go outside, take a walk and all that until they cool down and all that. You call me or call your sister Heather and all that stuff, and call me and all that stuff. And then things like, I will try to comfort her, let her have her moment, and try to be there as much as I can and all that. And then we talk our future plans together, about opening up during our first Valentine's Day date and all that. We have to celebrate early because she had to go to her program at the time and all the other stuff. So we went to Olive Garden together, our first Valentine's Day date, and we started talking about our future and all the other things and all the other stuff, like, and she told me all the dreams and things that she wanted to do for our future and all that stuff. And then she told me like, I want to be on birth control. And I was like okay, and go to OBGYN and like starting our real life stuff together and all that other stuff, taking our relationship to the next level and all that other stuff. And she asking me all these things and all that, because everything she was really going through, and she wants to get out of that mom and her sister phase and all that, with all the pressuring, all the chores and all that stuff. Want to live her life and all that. And then while I was doing my YouTube work and all that stuff, I have a YouTube channel I was calling her, see how she doing and all that, and she said everything good and all that, and then boom, and she said Heather calling me and all that. I'll call you back and all that, and like I got calling me because Heather was in her situation at the time and all that. Like I will do my YouTube work from my YouTube channel for like 3 hours, and then all of a sudden she calling me crying and all that stuff. And my mom's like, it's very, very weird because she usually call me around like an hour and a half before she go to bed. And then she called me and all that. She was crying. She was really, 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 really crying and all that stuff. And she said like we can't be with each other no more and all that other stuff. And her sister in the background told her like hang up the phone and yada yada yada. And she just hang up the phone and all that. And that's when the blocking and other stuff came about and all that stuff. And so it was really sad and heartbreaking for the second time around and all that. I went from again and again and again and again. And my mind's like what did I do this time and all the other stuff. And then I heard from like other people saying that like you touched her little sister inappropriately and yada yada yada, all the nonsense. But the real difference is that she was really sick. She was heavily sick, and I didn't know how sick that she was and all that stuff. She was heavily sick, and them pressuring her. Those things made the blocking and all the accusations and all that started and all that. And my biggest regret is that I should have called her big sister first. I should have called Heather first about this matter and all that. And I regret calling her because like in my mind like I'm Superman trying to save a relationship, save hope, save our relationship and all the other stuff. Like I was clustered. I was really, 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 really clustered. So when that happened, and so so my biggest regret is not calling Heather when all of that happened and all the other stuff. Like me trying to be a Superman of all things and try to save the day, have hope and all the other stuff, but all of a sudden it didn't work. And I failed myself for that. I failed. Because we had all these big dreams that we were planning to do. Because we were more serious before than we were in next step. And because she was the person that not only I helped her and all that, she lead me too. The real Sarah that I knew, the one who called me throughout my hardest days. She's the person that made me laugh. I didn't think I would smile. She helped me guide through life, and she wanted me to help her lead her in life. And all that is gone now. And so I was very sad and mad, kind of disappointed of everything that transpired. Sorry. Everything that we gonna do during this second time around is all taken away now. Is all gone now. And we want to plan our life together. Like, we were engaged at the time. And all that. Want to take this relationship to the next level. Her teaching me some things. Her pushing me and all that. It helped me gain weight. Like, help me gain weight. She was going to help me gain weight. Like going to the gym, eating right, just gain weight to get out of my skinny phase and all that stuff. And because of her mental health and them pressuring her, it's gone now. And so, but I learned to realize that, you have to really think about the good times that we had, the good times that we shared, and we learned from each other. And I'm thankful and proud of our relationship, even though my heart is really, really broken. Even 3 years later, our heart's still broken. It will never go away. But I'm proud of our relationship. And the things that she taught me in life, the things that taught me in life, things that taught me in other interests, that she got me interested in. And wherever I'm down and out and all that, she the one that lift me up. Even throughout her struggling, she was always there to make sure that everything's gonna be okay. So, and mental health and that and all that will take away from you, like, in a minute. And so I was angry of myself, but I realized that, it's mental health. Realized that, it's mental health and the disease that lie within her, and dealing with them was the cause of it and all of that stuff. And so it took me almost 3 years to really have clarity, to understand of what she did and all that, because look at it as like, it's not the same person I fell in love with during Next Step and all that. It took me almost 3 years to really have clarity, understanding, and empathy. And so now, with this now and all that, I can understand why she did and why she did what she did and all of the other stuff. And so I felt so much clarity. I felt under I felt so much understanding. I felt so much empathy from it, and that would kind of bring me closer and all that other stuff. Even though, like I said, the pain never goes away. I learned that mental health will take away from you in an instant. And my advice to the parents and all that, like, give them some space, give them hope, give them time, give them the light on the end of the tunnel. If they have a bad day and all the other stuff, just let them be for a minute. Don't pressuring them, or else you're gonna hurt your kid, especially with having a special disability and struggling. Just let them be themselves. Give them hope. Give them light. Give them the light at the end of the tunnel. And you can and give them space and clarity for a little bit. And also, when you have concerns about meeting someone and your fears and all that, come talk with somebody before you have conclusions. And also, you can seriously talk to your kids, and you can love them and all that, but also you need to listen and to understand. And for anybody who is struggling and all that stuff, is that you are loved, you are not alone. Find that tribe to help you. Find that person to talk to, whether it's a good day or else a bad day. Write a journal about your feelings, whether you're okay or not okay. And also, just 3 questions. Like, are you good? You okay? Do you need anything? And also, watch their body language. Watch their body language. So, and also, your life matter. The people around you matter. Have a lending hand. Reach out. Call the hotline number, of course. And find that tribe, find that circle to be around with and talk to about your feelings and all the other stuff. So for anybody who is struggling and all the other stuff, just talk with somebody. Give them a call, give them a text. Not only just texting, but calling too. By calling them and all that, and make sure to let them know they are loved. Make sure to let them know that you're okay, you cared, you mattered, you loved, and so forth and so forth. Because nowadays, people taking their lives nowadays. And we can't allow this to happen to anybody else. So with that being said and all that, and so for my memories of you of my message, and I want to say to Heather, thank you for reaching out to me through my hard time and all that. When all of that happened, you're the one that reached out to me and all that, even though I wasn't supposed to answer the phone and all that. Thank you for reaching out to me and all the other stuff. And for as far as for me and Sarah relationship, I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful for the good times and all that stuff. And so, and for anybody who misjudged her and all the other stuff, just give her a break, because people are gonna view her as future as a person with a disability and dealing with mental health, and she's still my fiance. Always be my fiance. She lead me so much. She entering to her world. She enter her world the way that I really enter it. And I want to applaud her and thank you for that. Our relationship never forgotten, and we're always going to be the greatest relationship of all time. So for her, I want to say thank you. With that being said, that is the first episode of Need to Understand podcast with Kempton Alexander. More episodes of this podcast is more to come. This is just getting started and all that other stuff. Excited to have more guests on and all that every other week and all that, wherever they have time and all that. The interview telling stories and so forth. So make sure to look out for an all new episode of Need to Understand podcast. So we are signing out.